You know, God sees his children as the salt of the earth. He calls us many things, light of this world, you know, chosen generation. But one of those things is the salt of the earth. And if you know anything about cooking, you know that salt can be very important. And if a dish doesn't have salt, ooh, it could make a big difference. And so if God calls us the salt of the earth, it lets us know that we're supposed to make a difference. It also lets us know that we're the minority, because when it comes to a dish, there's more food than salt. Salt is never more than the food. If it was, nah. We may know when you put a little bit of salt, it makes a big difference. And so therefore, a few amount of Christians can make a big difference in a place. You don't have to have 40 Christians to change 40 people. Just like you don't have to have 40 pounds of salt to change 40 pounds of food. Matthew 5:13. Jesus Christ said, "Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost his savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out, and to be trodden under foot of men." We're the salt of the earth. Children of God, Christians are the salt of the earth. How do Christians lose their flavor, or how do Christians lose their savor? When they lose their focus on Christ. So in Genesis chapter 19, this is the time of Sodom and Gomorrah, sinful city. Lot, Abraham's nephew, was living there. Abraham's nephew, Abraham's cousin, some people say. So Sodom and Gomorrah, sinful place, homosexuality, murder, violence. And Lot is living in the midst of this with his family. Two angels come and Lot hosts them, and the men of Sodom and Gomorrah, they were like, yo, we want to sleep with those men. Bring them out here so we can sleep with them. And Lot was like, no, please, you know, don't, I'm taking care of these guys. They're under my roof. You know what? Take my girls. Take my virgin daughters and do whatever you want with them. He offers his daughters, y'all. He offers his virgin daughters. Well, thank God that the men didn't accept it, right? The men were like, nah, we want those dudes. The angels actually blind all the men that were outside of Lot's door. So the angels say, yo, Lot, you got to get out of this place, man. God's going to destroy this place. You got to get out. You and your family, you know, get out of here, man. And when you get out of here, you don't look back. Don't look back. Genesis chapter 19, verse 23. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and that which grew upon the ground. Verse 26. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. You know, Christ was talking about the last days, and he was talking to his disciples on how the last days are going to be, how things are going to be, how people are going to be. And he says something pretty interesting. In that day, he which shall be upon the housetop and his stuff in the house, let him not come down to take it away. And he that is in the field, let him likewise not return back. Remember Lot's wife. Whosoever shall seek to save his life shall lose it, and whosoever shall lose his life shall preserve it. Christ was saying in the last days, don't focus on the earthly things. Don't focus on the physical belongings. When Lot and his wife and his daughters were running, and Lot's wife heard or thought about all the things she was leaving, maybe friends she made, the possessions, the house that was getting destroyed, burned down, whatever it was, jewelry, whatever, she looked back. Why? Because her heart was back there. She looked back because she thought, oh no, my life. And she became a pillar of salt. Lot's wife lost her savor because her heart was still in the world. You know, them leaving Sodom and Gomorrah was a picture of salvation from God's judgment. And so when we are faced with salvation, with the mercy of God, with the grace of God, and we see what he's done, there should be no turning back. It's like we put two hands to the plow. We can't turn back, or if we do, we're not fit. I've decided to follow Jesus. No turning back, no turning back. Though none go with me, still I will follow. No turning back, no turning back. And so Lot's wife, even though she saw salvation before her, her heart was in the world. Her heart was in the world that she left, or in the place that she left. And when we become Christians, we don't want to lose our savor. Our hearts should not be in the world. We shouldn't think, oh, I'm missing out. Oh, how I wish I would have before I became a Christian. Oh, how I wish life were still fun. If our heart is still in the world, even though we've left, we've been saved from the judgment of God, then it shows that we've lost our savor. And if we've lost our savor, then the Bible lets us know, then we're no good, but to be trodden underfoot of men. You know, when it's snowing, Chicago, Pennsylvania, Alaska, Canada, when it's snowing, one thing that people put on the ground to help with traction, to help people not slip and slide, is salt. And you see, this salt helps other people. It's being walked upon, but it helps other people. And Lot's wife became salt. Jesus said, remember Lot's wife. Her life is helping us walk in faith. What good is it for a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul? It's a lot of good if a man loses the whole world but his soul is saved. So let's remember, brothers and sisters, there's no turning back. We've decided to follow Jesus, no turning back. And if we look back, if our heart is still in the world, then we are like Lot's wife, salt. And we've lost our savor. We've lost our importance. We've lost our impact. And we're good for nothing but to be trodden underfoot of men.
Both of my brothers moved out, I was only about 9. Searching for destiny I couldn't find. Built a bird inside, then I had the time to cold friends. The graffiti I would write to instrument.